Aloha, cupcakes. You keep asking me questions, so it's time to be answered. So today, let's revisit the King 13. Now, this is the 705070. It's a whole lot of zeros. Let's see what I've figured out how to do with it over the last 6 months. So let's start with I'm using the 70 King 13. I've been working with this one for a bit now. Today I'm using Ronin urethane, and I'm just using the Ronin urethane with a little bit of hardener in it, not anything super special. Now, throughout the course of this video, I will not be putting any reducer in this because it's fun. But I think, I don't know, we're going to just do, let's talk about the brush for a second. The King 13 has less brush hair than very literally every brush ever. It just does. It's thinner. It's got not 100% sure what freaking species of squirrel it is. It is squirrel hair, but I'm just not 100% sure. I know it's not a Kazan brush because it'd be $40 if it was a Kazan brush. But it is definitely floppy. So one of the tricks with this brush is you've got to ride on the tip of this thing. And I mean, you really have to ride on the tip. I am typically pretty heavy-handed when it comes to how I pull my lines, especially like the straight lines like this right here. So for me to have to choke back and stay right on that tip and still get a heavy line like this, it's you can do some very, very thick lines with the sucker. Most people don't. I would imagine most of you won't pull a line nearly as thick as what I will. And part of me not using any reducer today is how I maintain some consistency with these thick lines. Now, yeah, I know. I'm actually doing them on purpose because I've just been having a lot of fun with the way that we can pull lines like this one right here. And yes, I'm pulling away from myself. I am pulling it in a goofy direction, and it is just weird and awkward for everyone. But I pull a very consistent line doing it that way. The other side, maybe not as much, but that one, I'm pulling a very consistent line. Oh, look, you can see my forehead and all the gray hair. That's mildly annoying. I should edit that out, but I like this angle. So we're going to leave it. Sorry, you're going to just see the top of my gray hair and white beard and shoulder. Just, that's another fun thing around here. I'm working with new lenses, so just bear with me. Anyhow, this brush, because of the super floppiness, I have to really stay on the tip. I really want to palette consistently. So I'm paletting between every stripe. Part of what gets me from having to put any reducer in this is because I'm going in and just not necessarily redipping it, but I'm reshaping the tip on the edge of this cup. So that's enough housekeeping for this thing, I think. All right. Now, it's got a lot of flexibility in it, and I'm not a huge fan of it. I'm not a huge fan of that flexibility until I need it. So typically when I do the work that I've been doing with this thing, I would use a scrolling brush. Let's pull this tape off real quick. Yeah, this is going to be silly. I don't normally go that far when I'm doing like the beginning of a design. So yeah, there's going to be some cleanup on that. I'm going to get confused, especially with that long swoop that I did in the last part there. It's fine. We can build from it. Anyhow, I am riding on the very tip of this thing. I'm not using any peripherals, anything like that. I obviously didn't even create a design. I just started throwing lines down with this thing. And that's kind of the mission of what I wanted to do today. Because I haven't been using this brush necessarily for freestyle stuff. I've been using it a lot more for my actual work. So I did a couple of cars during hot August nights and left my brush box. Well, not my, I brought my paint box, but I only had 2 paintbrushes with me. For the guy that carries around 40 brushes to only have 2 with me, it was mildly alarming for about 5 seconds. And then I just said, you know what, we're going to work with this one. It's going to be fine. So that's kind of where I've been with this because I was able to do it and I'm able to pull the type of a design or the type of lines that I'm accustomed to pulling with this one if I'm a little bit more patient with it. And at the same time, I'm able to do the goofy stuff that I would normally do with a scrolling brush. Just go off with it. So that's definitely something I have learned over the last few months with this one. Also, to my admission, I haven't been using this one all that much. It's only been like the last, well, since the beginning of July, whenever that was. I think we're We're in August still, right? I think. I don't know. Things get messy for me around here. Anyhow, I haven't really been working with this one as much because I did get a whole set of the Alien Deathhawks. So I was using that one for the smaller brushes more than anything else. And then I got a hold of a few of the handover brushes, which are just oodles of fun. I need to actually do a video for the handovers because I think that I like them better than I like the Da Vinci's. But getting forced to work with this one for a few jobs, I kind of like this one's flexibility a little bit more. I'm still not 100% comfortable with it. I'm not going to try doing any crazy scrolling stuff with it. But at the same time, if I'm doing sidelines and you need to add those little accent flares, like around the door handle and stuff like that, this thing is amazing for that. Mostly because I can pull the straight lines and I still don't have to go palette out another brush. So, I mean, that's when it comes down to when you're actually doing work. I think efficiency still plays a part in our lives. At least last I checked. I mean, periodically I clean this thing out anyways, but also I just want to see how long I can go for not cleaning and or brush or cleaning it and then thinning out my paint. So this is a time trial because I'm still pulling pretty consistent lines. Now this right here, I really should have just flipped the panel over or just like moved over, but I didn't want to move the cameras around. So I'm just kind of going for it and I'm not doing it is, yeah, no, I screwed that up. My targeting was a little off. Like it's a little squirrely right here and it's a little thicker. Oh, well, I did it for you guys. I messed this up for you guys so that you could actually see like that. Well, so you could see it because otherwise my hand would have been out of the way. Yes, with 3 camera angles, my hand would still been out of the way because I would have been hanging over it and pulling the other direction, but whatever. I was trying to do this so that it was not. And now I get to correct myself because screwed it up. Yeah, it's like super thick. Even on the camera, like, because I know the camera kind of hides it a little bit, but I can see that that one's like super thick. So we're just going to fatten this guy up a bit. That way, at least it's consistently thick. Which is kind of a fun thing. I like that this brush, when I'm doing these little, like this, it's sharp enough that I can get in there and get the exact details I want without having to layer up the paint. And I know it's silly that I care what my brush strokes look like, but I don't like the notion that you can see the individual stripes within something like when I'm filling it. And this one fills it really well, so I don't see those striations in the paint. I know finer details. They're not that important to anybody but me, but it's fine. It's a thing. So like this one filled in really well. It looked nicer before I filled it in, but I have to make it match the other side, so whatever. Now while we're here, I wanted to let you know, in case you hadn't noticed, I'm using Ronen's white paint. How often have you guys seen me doing a video where I'm using white paint? Twice, actually. That was doing a rat thing. But I'm actually using white for striping. I cannot, like, black and white are my 2 least favorite colors to work with. So I feel like they're the most unforgiving when it comes to this. And so here we are. I'm using white. I will most likely add another color onto this when it's done because I'm actually using a canvas board or what was it, the wooden canvas, whatever thing. They are called wooden canvases. Sorry, I had to look. It's sitting here in a thing. And I didn't do a whole lot in terms of base coats on this one because I needed it to have a flat finish to it. Part of why I'm specifically adding the hardener to the paint here is because I want it to have a gloss when it's done. And you'll notice that I'm pulling away from me using the pinstriping brush. Don't do that. I repeatedly tell you guys don't do that. I do that because it's something that I'm comfortable doing, but it's not something I recommend. Because apparently it's utter insanity to everyone who's ever been striping for a long period of time. Also, I just screwed that line up now that I say that. It's like, we're going to fix that kind of. Yeah, it's really going to bother me. I'm going to have to fix this one. Yeah, it's too close. Well, anyhow, when it comes to the freestyle designing, a lot of guys have always asked me, what do I do when I screw up? Because you've never seen me wipe anything off. This is that moment where I screwed up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to just add to it a little bit and make it look like, I don't like that one. Whatever. It's fine. Whatever. I don't like that line. I like this first line on this side, and now I'm going to make this first line ugly like the other side. Anyhow, basically what I do if I ever screw up, which I almost never admit unless I'm doing something like this, so just do it on the other side. So that way it's even. It's not horrible. I don't like it, but it's not horrible. Okay, back to what we were doing. So the fun thing with this brush, I don't even know that I even started saying that. The fun thing with this brush is when I do this thing where I dip the brush down and pull out into a sharper line. Most striping brushes don't let me do this very well. That's why I don't like them. That's why I like the scrolling brushes. I can do this and I can flare out a little bit. It's something that you find in scrolling quite a bit. I like adding it into regular striping because it's fun for me. Because there needs to be something interesting to me while I'm working on it, so that I'm actually like having fun with whatever goofiness is going on here. So the little weird accents that I do those entirely to entertain myself. And this brush lets me do them. So is that a good thing? Is that something I recommend for you? I don't know, 50-50. You're going to have to develop your own style. And if your style includes you messing around with things and doing just weird stuff periodically, get this brush. Also, I turned off the audio, but while I'm recording this, it is Dimebag Darrell's birthday, and the radio station that I have on is just nonstop playing Pantera songs and other stuff that Dime was in. And I was listening to the part where it's like Rebel meets Rebel, which is David Allan Coe and everybody in Pantera except for Vinny. Or I'm sorry, except for Phil. Really enjoying that. I hadn't listened to that album in like years. So yeah, that's why the head bobbing is going on. And yes, I can bob my head and still pull clean lines because it's, dare I say, it ain't rocket surgery. Now, another thing that I like doing since I've started using this brush is I'm able to actually work vertically. And not because I'm able to work vertically. I've always been able to work vertically, but working with the cameras, I'm able to work like this. So I get this angle where you can actually see what I'm doing. And it's just because this brush lets me paint with it upright. I think most striping brushes, I kind of lay them down a little bit more. And so it just looks terrible when I shoot some of these shots. So I don't get to demonstrate to you how I actually do a lot of my work. I have to modify how I hold things. This brush, I just do whatever I feel like doing with it. And hopefully the video comes out okay. But I'm free to do it is the bigger issue. You know, that is one of those big arch things that I probably should draw out because I'm going to duplicate it. Yeah, this ought to be fun. I can't actually, I should have done on the other side if I was going to do this way. And instead I did it on the wrong side. And now we're just going to go with it. So I'm not able to see what the other side looks like to make sure that I'm matching it. And kind of got it. And I'm a little off. A little off. Okay, we're going to touch up this corner. I can already see it there. Anyways, so it's important that if you are right-handed, like I am right-handed, do your first line on the left side so that you have a visual cue when you're working on the right side. Just so you're not having the problem that I just had right now. Just trust me on this. Especially if you don't have like a thought out design. If you get a thought out design, you have like lines to work off, good to go. But this, no, don't. But I am a big fan of being able to work with a striping brush that I get to hold upright like this. It's just awesome. Probably my favorite thing about these brushes lately. Because yes, I can lay it down and pull like the straight long lines, but I can also do stuff like this. And I'm missing this. Well, I already started this way, so it's fine. We're just going to do it. That'll be fine. It's just paint. See that little quiver in my hand right there? I really should have a brace on. Yeah, weightlifter problems. Okay, let's add. I'm gonna try. I've had good luck with these. So these little tiny accent lines like this. A lot of striping brushes that I work with, they're not good for these little tiny ones. I think that one's kind of big for a little tiny accent line, but I don't typically do well with the stripers on these. Because that little tip right there. Now that worked. That worked. Okay. I'm gonna try a couple more of those before we're done with this video. I'm gonna see how small I can get with that. I'm gonna fix this corner. Also, for reference, I am listening to what I was saying while I was working. So I did a live session on one of the other social medias while I was doing this. There are times where I should be getting some pretty hefty community guideline violations. I didn't, I don't think. I don't know, maybe if you never ever saw the live version of this video, then maybe I did. Anyhow, so I'm going to clean this one up. We're going to add, I don't know, let's clean this side up here a little bit. It's crooked. I can see it on the camera way more than I saw it in real life. That's like a lot crooked, but it's fine. So I'm going to give myself some playroom here. Let's create a longer arch. And we're going to pull around and kind of up this way here. So I want to see if I can pull a couple of these little sharp detail-y lines, but I need a place to put them first. So I need to bring some lines inward. I mean, technically, I probably could have just started these ones with a really tight twist to them, and that might have been the thing, but yeah, a little hiccup there. All right, so I'm going to sort this one a little bit here. Let's play around with it. Also, for those of you who requested this repeatedly, this is a real-time video. I know. So exciting. You're so happy about that. It really makes it a lot harder for me to do the voiceovers when the video is like 20-something minutes long. I think this one's weighing in at like 22. So, one more thing I'm doing just for you. Now let's pull one of these tighter, twisty. That. I like it. Kind of overshot a little bit, but it wasn't as tight as I would like that to have started. But we're not using a screwing brush, and that's still really, really tight, but I like how clean that one let off. Let's see if we can do it again. Can he do it? Not as clean. I think I got too excited by the first one. I really like the way that first one looks, so the second one has a little bit of a hesitation to it, but still, I like the notion that I can start in a little curve. Let's pull a little, I don't know, hook here. Yeah, we'll do that. Because that'll give me something to play on. So, and then we'll do another like line across or something with it. All right, my paint is starting to get sticky. So here we are. I think we're at 17 minutes almost. 18 minutes. Oh, 18 minutes. We're at 18 minutes and paint is starting to get sticky. This is how long I've been working with that reducer, by the way. So this is also part of the whole me using the cup. So instead of me having a dip reducer, dip the paint, and then try to get the correct consistency, I'm maintaining the consistency all the way through. So that is something that I've found really works well with the urethanes a lot better than enamel. Now let's do a little, okay, hold on. Yeah, we're a little sticky, but that's fine. I can pull. Okay, it wasn't quite it was a little too sticky for me to get like a good curve right at the start of that line, but that's fine. Let's pull it backwards. I'm going to pull from here and I'm going to see if I can get it to look similar. Okay, it's a little sharp, but let's clean up this spot right here. Anyhow, so the other thing with this brush is that I'm able to do things like that. So when I started on the other side, on the left side of this one, I started from the outside and worked my way in. And then the second line, I worked my way out. and I'm able to pull a very consistent line for each of those two. So the direction, the lack of definition in it allowed for me to do both, and I'm able to control that a little bit better with this one. Scrolling brushes, you really have to start with your heavy side and then just pull it to a thin line. This one, I'm able to start thick or start thin and then end thick or thin. Like I like that versatility. I kind of get that out of the Alien Deathhawk, but not as defined as I do with this one. Let's see about this one, because I pulled a really skinny line and then I pulled a very fat line. And then I'm going to pull a very fat line and then pull the very skinny line. I don't remember. I did this yesterday and I already forgot how this one went. And then apparently audio cut out, so I'm not even hearing myself anymore. Oh, there you go. Okay. So I like the versatility with this one. Normally what I would have done is pulled both of the thick lines first and then pulled the thin lines after the fact. This time I was just kind of playing with it and I wanted to see which ones I could do and then rolled with it kind of. And I know it's like those weird little details. These are things that you would probably avoid while you are doing this, but I'm trying them just to see if I can still pull a half decent design and then not do things right. I know, crazy logic there. Okay, I'm getting sticky. The line did not want to go right. And now I've made it worse. Okay, I'm going to pull like maybe 2 or 3 lines and then we're going to be done. I think that I have outlasted the viscosity of this paint. So where are we now? We're at 21 and a half minutes that I was able to maintain this working without adding reducer. So I would honestly at this point add reducer normally, but I wanted to run this out and see how far we would get before I would get to that point. Because when you do this out on a palette, you will need to reduce it every couple of minutes, especially here. I'm sure that you have picked up on this. No, I didn't say this once during this video. I'm in Carson City. It is 100 degrees here. I have 8% humidity while recording this. So reducer is something that I go through by like the gallon around here. So to find a way to make paint flow long enough for me to pull something like this off, using the cup, adding the hardener and the reducer in the beginning of this thing, I've been able to work for over 22 minutes. And this last one's going to be as sticky. I can already feel it when I'm paleting out the brush, but this will be the last line. So this brush has worked awesome. Not this awesome has worked brush. That would be strange. No, you know what? This awesome has worked brush. We'll stick with that. I like that statement. I think I'm going to paint that on a sign for this weekend. Now check this one out. Let's see. This is the very last line. Let's see if I'm going to pull a fat line. I'm going to try to pull it and make it because it's getting just almost. So here we are. That's what it was. Oh, oops, shadow bad. Let's not do that. Let's do that. No. Anyways, let's try that again. So there you have it. This is Oodles of Fun. I've been working with this brush for a while now, and I really like working with it. Yeah, it took me a decade to finally just accept that I like this brush. So here we are. Anyhow, there it is. That's what it does. This is the brush. The link where to get it is going to be in the remarks or whatever, the description or whatever. Also, like my hat, merch links in bio. Stay moist, my friends.